Hello, everyone. A very good morning. Guys, is my voice is audible to everyone, right? And everyone can see my screen, right? Thanks everyone for your wishes. Thanks for your wishes. Thanks Navya for that. Thank you so much. Uh, we'll just uh, we'll just wait for 2 more minutes, and we'll jump to the smart contract where we have stopped yesterday. Okay, guys, so that we'll make sure that yesterday there was some people had some technical issue and some people have missed the first 20 minutes. So we'll just make sure to give them 2 minutes so that every people will join the class. Thanks, Venkatesh. Thanks for your wishes. Thanks, Dinakara Venkatesh also. Cool, Navya. I'll get back to you after the class. Just ping me after the class. Okay. Thanks, Anudeep, for your wishes. Cool. So, guys, we'll just wait for 1 more minute. And guys, tell me, everyone got their ethers in the ring B or else the Robston from Robston faucet, right? Make sure you have some ethers, guys. Okay, this will become handy for your dApp development. Cool. Has anyone deployed any contract in one of the test nets? Please raise your hands or just give a quick reply on the chat. Guys, does anyone have deployed any contract in one of the test nets? Anyone, any contract? Cool, you have to try any contract to deploy. Okay. So guys, let's start our class today. Cool, try today. For your understanding, I'll just deploy this contract in one of the test network in Robston or Ether, Ring B. So you'll get the idea how to deploy the contract. I know I have already showed you how to deploy the contract in test networks. See, I am on the Robston test network now. Okay. So guys, now what? Make sure before deploying your contract, make sure you are on the exact test networks in the exact account where you want to deploy the contract. Okay. Because when we are deploying, MetaMask will always consider the account which is there on the screen. Is that clear, guys? Now, let's run. Cool. I'll just tell you now. So make sure when you are trying to deploy the contracts on the test network, make sure you are on the injected Web3. Web3 injected Web3 is nothing but an external service, external application where it helps us to deploy the contract on the test nets. Okay. So guys, make sure you are on the injected Web3 in the environment where you can see the Robston with the network ID and your account with the number of ethers and then deploy. Will just a pop-up screen from MetaMask. Make sure you confirm the transaction. See, at down we can see creation of assets tracker is pending. We have to wait for some time because it's a test ether, right? Make sure, guys, you have a try to give a more preference to Robston rather than Ring B. Okay, is that clear, guys? Cool. We have deployed our contract in one of the test in Robston test network. We'll go and see. We have a deploy the contract in this block number, and it will reflect in a short while. Hope everyone got this, how to deploy the account in the Robston contract in the Robston network, right? Cool. We have done this. So this is the transaction as this is my account number, the contract address, the contract ether fees, and the input data bytecode. We as an input. Cool. Try to deploy this, guys. So for the ring B, guys, you have to have at least a Twitter account, or else you have to have a Facebook account. So make sure, I'll just show the flow how to get the ring B faucet, ring B ethers from the faucet using the Twitter account. Okay. Sujana, please have a guys who didn't got any ethers from the ring B test network, and please follow this a quick 1 minute. I'll just show in 1 minute. Try to be fast in grasping this. Search for the ring B faucet in the Google, ring B faucet. Then you will be you select the ring B faucet.ringb.io, and here, guys, here please go through this. How does this work? And now to get the ring B faucet ring B ethers, just what you all need to do, a tweet. At down we have a tweet. Make a tweet with a URL which is redirected to the our official Twitter account. In this Twitter account, what we all need to do is just paste the address we have. Okay, paste the address we have here and tweet this, and copy the link of this tweet and paste it here. Is that clear, guys? Cool. So we'll just move forward for our contract, today's contract. Hope yesterday we have done with the structure. We are creating all the mapping structures and everything, right? Yesterday we have done with the creation of the mapping, what the exact mapping, what all the details we get. But today we'll do the function, the functionality, exact functionality. We have created the variables, everything, the structures of the asset creator, manufacturer, stockholder, wholesaler, retailer, and for our sake, we have created an end user so that we'll get an end-to-end understanding how the flow works. Okay, at the real time, when we are using the when we are implementing this application, there will be a changes where it will be adjusted according to the real-time scenario. Okay, and but the original logic will be as it is, but the external things may change, but the logic will be same. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? Cool. Now we need to create an asset function with a create function, where first we need to create a function, create a product with name, description, and a unique UUID. Here the unique UUID, we are simply giving it as a string because we are not restricting the unique UUID to an integer, but we are making it as a string. Okay, and the description is always a string and the name is always a string. So we are giving 3 string inputs like the memory, description, and the UUID. Here we are mentioned as a public. Next, what we are making here required. So exactly what we are doing here is, if the UUID which we are storing in the asset store, if we have already have a unique UUID, I mean the same unique UID, same UUID, then we'll get a message that asset with this UUID already exists. Is that clear, guys? So we in this step we are making sure that if we are not giving any chance to the asset creator, the person who is creating this product, that if we want to create another product with the same UUID, then he will not get the chance because we are restricting in the smart contract. Okay, then what we are doing, we are just passing all the structure of the data like the name, description, and the owner, I mean the person who have deployed the contract. Remember, the person who has deployed the contract is message.sender, and true is a boolean, so that we are passing all the details to the when we call the UUID from the asset store, we are passing everything to the unique UUID. If you call the unique UUID, we'll get all the details of this asset. Is that clear, guys? In the same way, to the location, into the location UUID, when we call this UUID, when we are in this function, when what the details will be sent to the tracking parameter, right? Where is the tracking? Here. See, in this tracking, we have a value where we are storing the values in a location. So in the location, when we call the location with the unique UUID, what the details we are getting? Tracking. And tracking is sending the details like message.sender, I mean the person who have deployed this contract, and the unique UUID, and the now. Now is nothing but the timestamp. Okay, is that clear, guys? Guys, is that clear? Just give a quick response in the chat. Cool. Now, the next thing, what we need to do, we have created an event where we need to emit those values. So what the values which we are more concerned now? Only the values from address, like the asset is transferring. We are transferring the asset. Only we are concerned of from address, the the unique UID and the to address, to which address we are sending. Okay, make sure, guys, you are emitting the values exactly. Is that clear, guys? Cool. Now we are done with the creating asset. Now what we need to do, we need to make sure that we need to transfer the product to the manufacturer. Simple. In this function, we can manufacture the easily transfer the product to the manufacturer, because the person who deployed the contract has a whole rights to transfer the product to the manufacturer. But how we will do? Okay, we need to create the function, and the same thing, to address, to which address we are sending, memory, like the UUID, unique UUID. Okay, done. Now what is the require here? We are telling the function you have to definitely fulfill this condition so that you will move forward. Okay, in the location UUID dot location has to be your message sender. Here at this step, what exactly we are doing is, we are making sure that the location in the tracking, we are sending that if the product is transferred from creator set to manufacturer, I'll get back to you that. I'll just complete my flow. I'll get back to your doubts so that we'll discuss at the end. Is that clear, Swaru? Cool. Now, here what we are making is we are making this condition as the person who to make the location, I mean to get the provenance of the product, we are making sure that we are storing the location as a person message.sender. Guys, this function is executed by the person who have created the asset, because the function, the creator set is nothing but the person who created the product, and the and this this person will only send the product to the manufacturer. Okay, so next what we'll do here, what we are doing now, to the manufacturer unique UUID, we are passing all the details, right? To UUID, and now 2 is nothing but the 2 address, unique UUID, and now is nothing but the timestamp. When we call the manufacturer mapping, we are mapping everything, like we are assigning every value to this unique UUID. When we call this unique UUID, we'll get the every information. And now what we are emitting. So we are emitting here, guys, listen carefully. We are emitting here the message.sender. I mean the person who who's the owner of the contract is nothing but the person who created the asset. Next, to address. I mean to address is nothing but the manufacturer address. To which address we are sending, that address we are emitting here, and the unique UUID with the timestamp. Is that clear, guys? The function of the manufacturer. Cool. Now we have a stock house. Okay, stock house is nothing like a warehouse. It's simple with the same, guys. We are going to have the same logic for the manufacturer, stock house, or wholesaler, retailer. Okay, now this is all the same. We have a to address. We need to have a to address, unique UUID, and we need to see here. We are making sure that the location, the manufacturer UUID, when we are calling the manufacturing UUID, we are passing the message.sender here to that location. Okay, we are making sure that we are getting the same, we are getting the product from the only from the manufacturer, not from the anywhere, because it can only accept the product. I mean, it can only accept the product from the manufacturer. Okay. So now here, the next step, what we'll do, we are assigning every value like the to address, unique UUID, and now to the stock mapping, I mean the stock value. When we call this value, we'll get all the details here, this detail. Now next, the same thing. We are sending the owner who have deployed this contract like message.sender, to address, UUID, and now is nothing but the timestamp. And the same thing with the location, guys. Okay, we are just calling the previous, even if it is not, we'll just make sure that the message.sender has to be a person who have the stockholder has to send the product to the wholesaler. If it's not true, you will get the error. Okay, the same thing with the retailer, guys. The same logic applies here, and the same thing with the customer. Is that clear, guys, till the functionality of till the customer? Cool. Now we are done with the main functionality. We are passing the data. All we left is getting the data. Okay, how we need to get the data? It's simple. We need to, all the data we are assigning here to your unique UUID, just pass the unique UUID here, and returns a store name. So what is the store, what is the name? Like we are first creating all the asset details and we are storing every details to the asset store. So here when we call the unique UUID, we'll get the name. Okay, the same thing applies to the description. The name, description and the unique UUID we are storing in the asset store at the starting. So now we'll call the data from there. But how to get the location of the manufacturer, stockholder, wholesaler, retailer, and the customers? Sorry, guys. So now we create a function where we everywhere will pass the unique UUID so that we'll get the address with the timestamp so that we can use this data for getting the provenance and also knowing the where is the exact product at which location in the supply chain. So from where we are getting the address, we are getting the address from the manufacturing mapping. Like when we call the unique UID, we'll get the location as well as the time. The same thing, the location time from the whole retailer end. Is that clear, guys, how we are getting the data? I hope everyone have the contract so that you'll just understand the code there on your own if you just look at that code. Now, I'll just run the code. Guys, make sure you understand the flow now, how to deploy the contract. Okay. Has anyone have deployed this contract on your own before? Have you done the flow, every flow? Is it working? Cool. So here I'm creating an asset with name, like consider an asset like name as BlockChain. Description as developer. String as, try to give any string for our time check. I'm just giving an ASD. Is that clear, guys? I'm just giving as ASD. So I'll just delete this contract. I'll just try to deploy the contract in JavaScript because we have to deal with a lot of accounts in this asset tracker. Just a second. Cool. So we have a contract in one of our JavaScript local hosts. So what we all do, just call the name as BlockChain, next developer, and give a unique UID as ASD or anything you want. Okay, make sure that you have to call the every data and you have to transfer the every data using this ASD only. So do a transaction, done. We have made a transaction. I mean, we have created a product. So we'll get the description and the asset creator here. So in this description call, we are getting the description of the product as a developer, and we are getting the name as a BlockChain, and we are getting the owner. This is the owner with the timestamp. But we'll just cross check. Have we getting anything details for the customer? No, because we didn't. The product is not with the customer till now. If the product is with the customer, we'll get the details here. So now, what is the flow now, guys? After creating an address, after creating a product, what we need to do? We need to move to the manufacturer. So make sure that, guys, you move to the manufacturer only. And now here comes a tricky part. Guys, please understand this flow. Make sure you are with me for 5 minutes. Okay, just copy the address, the second address, the new address for the manufacturer. Okay, consider this address is of the manufacturer, and go back to the owner account. So the owner has right to send the product to the manufacturer. So now we are sending the product to the manufacturer. So I'm sending this product unique UID to the manufacturer. For your understanding, what I'll do, I'll just make sure that so here, what will make sure that I'll just let you know that if you deploy the account with the not with the message.sender, what error will get. See, we are getting the error that you're not authorized to transfer this asset because the only access lies with the message.sender here. So now what we'll do, we'll just copy, we'll just go back to the message.sender. The person have deployed the contract. We are in this account. So make sure that do a transaction. Then we have did this transaction successfully. Now we'll just check where is the product. So now where are we? So we have sent a product to the manufacturer. So what we'll do, we'll just call the manufacturer. See, the product is at the manufacturer. Guys, the front end part will totally look different because at the back end, we need the data, individual data. At the front end, we can do whatever we want with the data, and we'll just make sure that the data is accordingly. Is that clear, guys? How we transfer the product from the create asset to the manufacturer? Please give a quick reply, guys. Cool. Now we are in the manufacturer. Sorry, we have sent a product to the manufacturer. But where are we? We are with the create asset. I mean, we are at the person who have created the product. Now, what we need to do? We need to move to the person account, and we need to show them. We need to do that. The manufacturer has to transfer the product to the stockholder. I'll just show you. As we all know, we have a manufacturer address is this. So now guys, the manufacturer address is our message.sender. Okay, this guy is our message.sender. Now what we need to do is, so to which address? So we need to have one more new address for the stockholder, because we need to have a unique address for the manufacturer, stockholder, wholesaler, retailer, and the customer. So guys, make sure that you have 6 accounts. You have 6 accounts in this virtual JavaScript local host, and we are done with the second. Second account is for the manufacturer. Third account is for the stockholder. Fourth account is for the wholesaler. Fifth account is for the retailer, and sixth account is for the customer. So now we are done with the wholesaler. We are done with the manufacturer. Now what we need to get? We need to get the stock house. I mean the stock house warehouse account address. So we copy that account, and we'll go back to the manufacturer address. And now, guys, we have a product at the manufacturer. So the product has full access of the manufacturer account. So he can only transfer the product to the another player like the stockholder. Now what I'll do, I'll just do a transaction. I mean, I'm transferring the product to stockhouse from the manufacturer address, and the product is ASD. Okay, guys, what I'll do, I'll just make sure that I'll just do this transaction from the message.sender. But guys, remember, we have already did a transaction from the stock. We already do the product is at manufacturer. Suppose we have another product and at the owner. Now the owner has to directly transfer the product from the owner to the stock house. So we'll just pass another variable, another unique UID. So we'll get to know. See, you are not authorized to transfer this asset. Did you got this message, guys? Have you understood the flow now? Because only the stock house can only accept the product from the manufacturer. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? Now I'll just make sure that I'm in the manufacturer account, and I'll just make the changes as the ASD. I'm in the manufacturing account. I'm just transferring the product to the stock house and do a transaction, and it's done. Now the product is at the stock house because the manufacturer has sent the product successfully from his account to the stock house account. So we'll just check now where is the product is at. So go to the stock house, search for the unique UID. Boom, we have the product at this address because this address is at of stock house address. Now the same thing applies, guys. Now we are done with the third account. Now we go to the fourth account, copy that account. Now the product is at the stock house. Stock house address is nothing but the third address, and the wholesale address is nothing but the fourth address. So now stock house has to send the product to the wholesaler. Now go to the wholesaler, paste it here, do a transaction. Done. Now the product is at the wholesaler. Okay, now search for that. Done. We are at the wholesaler. Now what we need to do, we need to copy the another account address, because now the product has to send to the retailer from the wholesaler. Okay, now we are at the wholesaler account, and we are sending the product to the retailer. Just go to the retailer account. Yes, here it is. Paste the account address here, give the product a unique UID and do a transaction. Done. The product is now at, where is the retailer? Here. Done. The product is at retailer, guys. Now all the retailer has to do only one thing, that it need to pass the account to the product to the customer, like an end customer. So we are passing the product to the end customer. Done. The product is at the end customer. Where is the end customer? Here. Cool. So guys, now we have created a product and we have transferred that product to another in the supply chain flow. How many of you understand this flow? The changing the accounts. Cool. So we got a query from Tejas Aida. Transfer the manufacturer to stockholder with same unique ID. So we have a manufacturer address is this. Okay. And we have a stockholder address. So guys, we need to transfer the product from the manufacturer to the from the manufacturer to the stockholder with same unique UID. So what we need to do, we are at the manufacturer now. So to get, we are at the manufacturer, we are sending the product to the stock house and we are doing a transaction. You are not authorized to transfer this asset. Cool. Guys, any more queries? So we are done with the smart contract, guys. Yes, every time we have, no, at one time at the start we have to provide the gas, at later we can, the gas, try to provide the gas at the starting only when deploying the contract, and later for the every transaction we'll just pay some gas. Guys, any more queries more? Guys, any more queries regarding the smart contract? So that if you're done with the smart contract, I'll just move to the next part. So when we are moving, we are not coming back to the smart contract again. So make sure that you have cleared all the doubts here itself. Is that clear, guys? Cool. Didn't get that, Hare Krishna. How to request the same product if the stock is over? No, I mean, guys, just make sure that the supply chain is not totally depends upon our contract. Okay, they have their technology, and this comes on the top layer, the topmost layer of the application. This comes under the topmost layer on their application layers. Okay, so that when all the data is functioning, they will send this data, like the important data, to the blockchain, to our smart contract, and we'll do that. Okay, don't our supply chain doesn't only relies with the smart contract. We have a database for this. We have to have a database, because suppose we have a product, suppose we have a product like we have with the same unique UID, sometimes there will be a glitch. Okay, there will be a glitch that we need to cross check, that we need to have a database for the smart contract, like to get the data if the product is actually have a unique UID. Sometimes then if there is a million products, there will be a chance there we'll get a have a unique same UUID. So to make sure that the existing supply chain system has a already have a unique UID functionality, so that what we'll do, this contract comes handy, so that it works on the topmost layer, and will get the data from the conventional way, and will store the data, making sure that all the flow and the functionality is under the smart contract, in the control of the smart contract. That's how we can request. Even we can request this for the same product if the stock is over, front end, because we have a functionality, we have a different websites, and we have the, see, we can make a web page for one of our smart contract, and then we can redirect to the to another website, and we can request the product there. There is no, or we can redirect to another page and we can request the product there. So it doesn't make that, or to do all the things with the smart contract, but we have to make sure that we have to only do the some of the things which are much more important than keeping them on the smart contract. See, some data we can't put, some data like the size number of the share, all the data which are makes the increase of the gas cost. Okay, see, if we have a unique UID, when we get that unique UID, we'll get all the details of the product. Okay, so that's come very handy. We need to make sure that we need to use the only store the data on the blockchain, which is much more important, not the data like every details on the blockchain. What is the use of storing every detail on the blockchain? What does that make any, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, like see what is why we want the size of the shed, like the material of a shed. Okay, it will present on the physical product. All we need to make sure that the product is going from one place to another place. We have to take care of that part. Okay, is that clear, guys? Cool. Now we are not using any database for this now. Okay, don't worry about that. Make sure you have to use this contract. Later we'll just make improvisation and we'll use that. But as of now, okay, we are not using any data. But for our understanding, for our understanding we are using this local storage. I mean, we are storing the data on the smart contract only, not more than that. Is that clear, guys? Cool. Because to use a database, we have a separate set of we need to do a separate set of flow. And I think for our understanding, for learning purpose, we don't need to have a database. I mean, for such databases, we can use the smart contract for the small minute data. Is that clear, guys? Guys, Nandana Siddha, I'm not getting exactly, do we need to store the detail? What product is an organ? No, I'm not getting exactly what is your exact query. Because, I mean, you want to store the product details, organ details, or blood details. Guys, we'll just take one more query, last query. Nandan, cool, Nandana Siddha. So I hope I'll just make sure that we'll make sure that organ or blood, do we need to store the details? Yes. See, Nandana Siddha, you are developing in a product. Okay, you have to know the end-to-end details of that product, right? I mean, what the data which is much more efficient and much more usable. That see, storing the data is much more important. I mean, if you think this data has to be stored on the blockchain and it will serve its purpose, then you have to store that data. Okay, we can't say exactly yes the when coming to the organ or blood, we need to store the each and every data. I mean, like how many blood cells, how many the plasma contains, everything. I mean, according to the samples we get, I mean the exact structure data, organ data. So make sure that if you have the details, I mean the important details, try to make sure that you have to keep that uh, details on the blockchain. And when we are coming to the normal things, like we are coming to the data to the different organization where we only require an important like we are considering a product like a t-shirt or shirt in a supply chain. When a clothing apparel supply chain, we are consider more about the unique UUID we get when we scan a unique ID. Like when we are trying to make a billing, they'll just scan our QR code, so we'll get the every details of that product. Okay, that's the same thing when we do. We'll just use the unique UUID here. Is that clear? Cool. Anudeep, I just see with the Ethereum, what can we do is we'll just have the APIs. Okay. We have the APIs. We can do that where we can store the external data which is not more useful on the blockchain, and we can store that. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll get the API, we'll send the data to that, and we'll cross check. No, Tejas, you are totally wrong. I mean, we only store the data what we are storing, what we want to store the data using the smart contract. Okay, we can retrieve the data from anywhere with the APIs. We can pass the data to the APIs, but we can only store the data what we want to store using the contract. Okay, yes, the data will be stored on the blockchain in a transactional way. Okay, but we can use the APIs where we can transfer the data. I mean, we can fetch the data from the servers, and we can do a I mean, we can do a API put and push on the servers, and we can store the transaction on the blockchain. That's we are storing on the blockchain, not the data. Okay, we are storing the transaction, not the exact details. Suppose I'll just give a quick example with one of the project I'm working where we have a patient record. So whenever we have a patient record, so all the details like a patient is stored on the using the APIs. What we'll do, we'll just use the server and we'll just pass the data to the server, and we'll just again do a transaction and we'll store the data on its public address. When we call the public address, what we'll do, we'll get the data, and we'll just have the data of everything. Okay, so we are making sure that we are only storing the transaction on the blocks, not the exact data we are storing. All the data is stored and only the transaction is stored on the blocks. Is that clear? Cool. I hope everyone is done with the smart contract thing. I hope everyone is done with the smart contracting. So we are moving to the next part. I hope there will be no more questions regarding the smart contract once we are moving. Cool. So guys, I want all of you to have, oh, sorry. I want all of you to go and to go through this web3.js and have a, you all need to know some basic commands and what the exact use of web3. See guys, you have to know the web3 guys. It's a bit tricky, but you have to know some commands because these commands come very handy and we can use accordingly. Okay, I'll just even share this command in the group. Guys, everyone on this website, right? Cool. See, it's nothing but a collection of libraries where that allow you to interact with local or remote Ethereum node using the HTTP, IPS, or WebSocket. The following document will guide you through installation and running the Web3 as well. Provide an API reference documentation with example. Is that clear, guys? Now, all I need from you all, you all need to learn these commands, the important commands. Like, see, we have some commands like to get the accounts from the Web3 from our account. If we use this command, we'll get the our accounts. I mean the number of accounts which we have. Like to get the contract, okay, to get the personal, to get the accounts, we have the contracts for that. To send the transaction, to get the gas cost. So make sure that you understand this, and also I'll just explain you how exactly the Web3 works, what the data we need, and how we'll use a Web3 exactly to have a remote communication with the node and just to pass the data to the front end. Is that clear, guys? Clear to everyone? All you need to do is just learn 3.js and make sure that you're following every step. It's important, guys. Guys, is my screen is visible to everyone, right? Cool. Sorry for taking so long. Now, all I want from you guys is, see guys, when we are deploying a contract, guys, when we deploy a contract, all we need is for the Web3 is the contract address, okay, and the ABI. ABI is nothing but a application binary interface, okay, where we used to talk with our contract, which is in a JSON format, okay. We'll get this ABI from the smart contract, from where I'll just show you. Go to the compile, you have the details here. In this details, you have the ABI here. So copy this ABI and paste it there, okay. And this is one more Web3 deploy. See, which we have a which they gave the how to deploy the contract, how to talk with the contract initially, okay. So what we'll get, suppose we use these functionalities, we get that how what are the details, contract address, contract transaction has, and the contract transaction has. These are the details we'll get only when we pass the ABI file and the contract address. I'll just show you guys now. So I have copied the ABI, and this ABI I'll use it here. Cool. So guys, this is the same ABI we have in the smart contract, okay, and this is the address we have it here. We'll just paste it here. So how? So now we have the address and the ABI. Now what we need to do, okay, is that clear guys? We have an address of the contract and the ABI. Now as we know, the Web3 website have stated that we have to communicate with the remote node, okay, remote nodes. Like we are not communicating with the remote node only. We have the ABI and the contract address. That's it. We don't need any more details from the smart contract. Is that clear guys? Or from the account? All we need is ABI and the address. So now just a second guys. Cool. Done. Guys, I hope just be just see these commands, like the see this script, right? Suppose if the type of Web3 is not defined, we are defining here the Web3. Else, we'll just have a log that we have a current provider is nothing but we are just initiating the Web3, the new Web3, and we have the current provider. Current provider is where the Web3 will automatically detects the network. I mean, to which network we have deployed. Suppose if the web3.version.network, I mean, we are telling the web3 that please check the current provider. I mean, I have mentioned the network ID. If the network ID is not the Ganachi network ID, then we will not deploy the contract. I mean, the contract is not deployed. We'll get the errors. I mean, we'll just not do any functionalities because we are just telling the Web3 that only cross-check the always cross-check for the network ID, because when we are doing any transaction from the front end to the smart contract with the different network ID, you have to show the error, because what the error you have to show, wrong network detector, please switch to the network Ganachi test network, else connected to Ganachi test network. Guys, here I'm clearly mentioning in the Web3 that we are using the Web3 commands syntax, where Web3 will automatically detect for our current provider, and if the current provider is equal to the, I mean, the network ID is has to be a network ID which we want, which we have deployed in the, which we deployed our contract, because we'll make sure that if the contract so that the persons who know, who only with our network, I mean the test networks with the specific network ID can deploy or do a transaction with this smart contract. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? So, I mean, for Ganachi, we have a network ID called 5777. Okay. So 5777 is nothing but the Ganachi test network ID. Okay. So we use this Ganachi test network ID, and we'll make sure that there will be no so we can't do any transaction apart from Ganachi. Only we can do any transaction with Ganachi only. Is that clear to everyone, guys? So this is how we use the Web3. Here only we are initiating the Web3. We are telling the contract that we have a new Web3 and we have the current provider. Just take the current provider and make sure that if the contract is enabled, I mean, if the contract is detected wrong, show this error, or else if you connect to the Ganachi test network, and here comes the main command from the Web3. Okay, so this command is nothing but the command call. We are telling the Web3 that Web3.ether, it's a Web3 Ethereum, and we have a ABA, and telling that contract ABA at address. So I'm telling the Web3 that I have a ABA of the, see, when you click here, you'll get the ABA of all the of your contract. I'm telling that this is my contract ABA, and it's a predefined syntax. You need to pass the data here. So it is a contract ABA at this specific address. So now we are storing every details in the asset tracker. When we call the asset tracker, like when we call this variable asset tracker, what we are calling in at same time, we are calling the ABA as well as the address. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? Have you got this point, how we use the Web3? I need some responses, guys. I know it will be a little tricky, guys. The Web3 part, it's a little tricky because it's like a middleware, right? We need to have the knowledge of both the front end and the back end at the same time. So we need to call this data and we need to push that data. We need to push this data and we need to call that data. So we need to do this simultaneously in the single file. That's the problem comes. Okay. Make sure that you have a clear code. Now, what we are doing with the Web3 is nothing but only thing, guys. Remember, from the whole contract, yeah, we need only two values. That's the ABA and the address. ABA, we can't read that. I mean, it's a human readable language, but it's a JSON file. We don't know exactly what is that. What the purpose of the. I mean, we can't even know the structure of with the JSON file. Okay. So, okay, ABA, we can't read that ABA. Cool, leave it. Address, it's a hexadecimal address. We can't do anything with that. Just copy those two things from the back end, like from the smart contract, and paste it here. And we are passing to the asset tracker. Done. Now, what we need to do? Suppose, guys, I'll just show you how to send the transaction. See, we have a Web3. So now, whenever we are calling the asset tracker, what we are calling? We are calling the ABA, contract ABA, as well as the contract address. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? Cool. Now, what we are doing here? We are doing nothing but, see, asset tracker is a Web3 contract ABA as well as the address. Here, create asset is nothing but our function. Create asset is nothing but a function. I'll just show you. See, can you see here? Create asset, everyone? Is it visible to everyone, right? The create asset? Yes. See, with the ABI and the contract address, we are directly calling the create asset function here. We are calling the functions here, guys. Remember. Now, what we need to do? Create asset is a send transaction. We need to send the transaction. So whenever we are creating a, whenever we are in the create asset, we need to send a transaction. So we are getting the data from the front end. I mean, get the ID, asset name, dot value. I mean, this comes on the description and the UUID, asset description and the asset UUID, and we are just having a callback function. If error, show error, wait for receipt. So done, guys. I'll just stick here only regarding the Web3. Okay, when we are moved to the front end, after getting know the front end structure, you'll understand the Web3. Okay, how the understand the front end commands here. I just want to make sure that you'll have a day for the Web3 so that you can work on the Web3 part only. So how the transaction, how we are getting the data. Okay, how we are pushing them. Is that clear, guys? So now here we have stored the as in the ABI and the contract address to asset tracker, and we are calling the function create asset, and the same function, guys, where we send a transaction with that function. What the data we send? Asset name, description, and sorry, a name, description, and a unique UUID. So if we send that data, we need to wait for a transaction. We are clearly mentioning that you have to wait for a transaction. So what does that mean? So we have a function here from the Web3 that get transaction receipt. So we will wait for the transaction receipt, and if we get the transaction receipt only, the transaction is succeed. So what we'll do, we'll just use the same callback. If the receipt is not equal to null, then the transaction went through, and we are calling here, and with the same way, try again in 1 second. So we are getting a set timeout. So I only want to mention here is we have a inbuilt, predefined syntax, like when the web3.ether.get transaction receipt will make sure that you'll get a transaction of the transaction receipt for the transaction you have done. Okay, so that's the reason why you use the web3. Here comes the web3 very handy when we are using the smart contract. Okay, see, if we get the hash and the hash, then we get the log as transaction succeed. How many of you understood this send transaction and wait for transaction functionalities? Please give a quick review. I need some response, guys. If you understand, please raise hands. Cool, I'll just repeat this. What I'll do, I'll just give a, yeah, it's tricky. I'll understand that. It's a tricky, guys. You have to, yeah, Web3 is a little bit tricky. We'll have to give some time. We have to give a lot of time to the Web3, because smart contract is where we can do, because it's a functionality. For the Web3, we need to get the data. So it's kind of a tricky. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just only tell you the send transaction, how to send a transaction, how to get the data. I'll just give a recap after that, and just will end the class there. Okay, how? Now, so guys, so here we are done with the send transaction. Suppose how we call the data from the smart contract. Okay, guys, so we are calling the asset tracker again. We have a stocks. Stocks is nothing but we have a function at down where with the stocks, which returns the location and the time. Is that clear, guys? We have a function where it returns address and the unsigned integer. It's nothing but the location and the time. So here, when we call the asset tracker stocks function, and we are clearly mentioning that we are calling this. Okay, when we are calling this, so what the input we need? We need the exact UUID. So we are giving the UUID. So after the giving the UUID, what we are doing now? So we have given the callback function here, where if the result, all the result we are getting here, we are storing in the stockholder using the HTML. Guys, I think this can be understood. It's a simple command syntax that we are calling the in the asset tracker where we have a ABI and the contract address. We are calling the stock functions, and we are clearly mentioning that in the stocks functions we are only calling the data. So when we pass the UUID, all it need, this function only need the UUID. When we give the UUID like the product ID, what will be the result? We'll store this result into the stockholder so that we'll get the data. Is that clear, guys? This part, the call function. This is how we call the transaction, call the data from the smart contract. Cool. Now I'll just give a quick recap, guys, so that we'll end the class after a quick recap, and we'll just have some time for the questionnaire. So guys, here first we are initiating the Web3. Guys, sorry for that. So guys, what we are clearly mentioning that if we are making sure that if we are initiating the Web3, and the Web3 will automatically gets the current provider. Okay, current provider is nothing but the network ID which we have, where it enables the, we are clearly passing the command where ethereum.enable. Ethereum.enable is nothing but it enables the use of this contract. I mean, enables the way the Web3 works. Okay, now what exactly we are doing here? We already mentioned the variable that we are passing the current provider to the Web3. So we are calling the Web3 here. In this Web3, we are calling the version network. So what is the version network? Is nothing but the network ID. So the current provider network ID is nothing but the 5777. So we are making sure that before running the Web3, when the person has doing a transaction from a front end, suppose he is on the different network, what the message will get? Wrong network detected, please switch to the Ganachi test network, because we are making sure that only if the person with this network ID, with the same network ID, can do a further transaction, because only the further transaction can be completed only when we have a ABI and then address of that contract. Is that clear, guys? Now, see, only the transaction without here, suppose we have a wrongly detected network. How can they don't have the ABI as well as the contract address to where the data will go, where the transaction will occur? Then it will not occur because we are not passing any data if we don't have the same network ID. If we have the same network ID only, we are passing the data like the ABI and address of the contract so that they can to the asset tracker so that they can interact. Here we are not passing any data, so there will be a error. I mean, they don't move further. I mean, they don't have access to even have a access to even get the data or call the data, because we are not even passing the ABI to the front end part. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear to everyone? This ABI and address, how we are passing, how we are making the if we have a wrong data network, how we are restricting them to even talk to our contract. Okay, now next what we'll do, we have what we done, we have done with the, we are passing the ABI and address to the asset tracker. After only we have detected the same network ID. Okay, now so after detecting the same network ID, what we'll do, we'll just move up. Now, so we in the asset tracker, we have the ABA as well as an address. So now we are creating a function. Oh, so not we are not creating a function. We are already calling the predefined function from the smart contract like a create asset. So create asset is a it is a payable function. Like it has to do a send transaction because it need to store the data. Is that clear, guys? Create asset has to store the data like name, description, and UUID, and it has to do a transaction. Is that clear to everyone? Guys, please raise hand fast. Yes. So now we are calling in the contract, we are calling the create asset, the function which is capable of doing a transaction, and also we are passing a data like the asset name, asset description, and the asset UUID, and we are just giving a callback that if there is no error in passing the data, we'll wait for the transaction receipt. Wait for receipt. Wait for receipt is a predefined function. I mean, no, I mean it's a function we give, but the Web3 transaction receipt, get transaction receipt, it's a predefined. So what we are doing now using the Web3 is Web3.ether will help us in getting the transaction receipt for the transaction we done, because it's like a confirmation, successful message. If only get the successful message, we move forward. Okay. Other than that, if you didn't get the successful message, we'll stop there. Okay, we are waiting for this function to get the success message, and only if they get the success message, we are moving further, like we are getting the transaction succeed, or else we'll show them as error. Is that clear, guys? How we'll send a transaction? Next, we need to do a call. Call is simple. We are not doing any transaction. We don't need a transaction receipt. All the thing we need to do is a call. Call is nothing but call the asset tracker where we have the ABI and the contract address, call the function which is as capable of calling, and give it a syntax as call. Clearly mention that, guys. To calling a function, give a call. To send a transaction, give a send transaction. And now what we are doing, we are just passing to get the data. We need to pass the data like UUID, unique UUID. We are passing the data, unique UUID, and what the data and in the function, the result we are getting, we are storing this result in the users. Okay, guys, remember we are just calling here, and the result we are getting, we are directly storing in the users. Okay, I'll just show you. I just only want to restrict to the Web3. I don't want to show you the front end, because I only want to make sure you only concentrate on the Web3 commands now, because only if you get the Web3 we can move on. Okay, is that clear, guys? This is how call function works. If you are getting error, we are returning error. If you are getting the success, like the result from the function, we are storing that in the users. Is that clear, guys, to everyone? Great. So guys, remember that it's very important to learn the Web3. You have to know the Web3, guys. Okay, make sure just go through the commands. I don't want anyone to have a in-depth knowledge or anything. Just learn the basics. I mean, the foundation is important. Learn the basics. As we move on, we'll just learn as we move on. Okay. Which no, in for the JS files, please download the VS Code. I prefer you all to download a VS Code. VS Code. It's okay if you have own if you use the other IDE, but I'll all you to prefer the VS Code. Okay, is that okay? Please download that. So guys, we have a 5 minutes left. Can you please give do you have any doubts? Please ask me fast. Guys, today is the last day to submit your 2 personal problem statements, smart contracts. Okay, at today night that the I'll just make the contract unlive, okay, and make sure that you have submitted the contract. And tomorrow we have a 3 hour section from 9 to 12, so that we get enough time to move further for this, to have a time for discussing your smart contract and to even develop our DApp, okay, complete our DApp. I mean in future does uh last setting Muni Rohit. See, the everything we are doing now, we have to do everything in the Ubuntu only. Okay. For now, for the explanation part, we need to develop our DApp using the Ubuntu only. That's the reason we have the Ubuntu. Okay. And that's the reason we have a truffle framework. For the explanation part, to make you understand, I just use the local host. So every details which we are doing now, we'll do in the truffle. I'm in the Ubuntu. Cool. Yes, Abdul Aziz, I suggest you to use the MoonPay. I'll suggest you to go through the MoonPay, moonpay.io. So they will do the exact thing like the conversion part. So we can integrate that part to our website so that when they are doing the transaction, they are converted into the currency. Cool. Any more questions? Guys, please clear your doubts now. I hope everyone is taking active participation in submitting their two personal problem statements contracts. Cool. Any more doubts? Guys, I'm waiting for you all. Do you have any doubts? Cool, cool, great, great guys. So all I need, you all need to do is please have a look at the Web3. Even if you didn't find or if you didn't understand, just go through the tutorials you have. Please explore the internet. You are open to explore. Okay, learn the Web3 and the commands. Is that clear, guys? Because the commands which we use in our project will restrict you, because we only a small we not use the total commands which we have in the Web3. We only use the commands which we required in our DApp. I just all you know to know need to know the commands which the Web3 can do, the other commands. Okay, so that you'll get a clear picture what Web3 has capable of doing. Is that clear, guys? So now, guys, we'll just have a call. We'll just have a class tomorrow from 9 to 12. Please submit your assignments by end of this day. Okay, so that we'll get a time to discuss tomorrow. Great, guys. I'll just end the class today. Have a nice day. Have a happy weekend. Happy coding, guys. Bye bye.